All this happening right in the middle of all this. Austin Game trying to calm things, and there's a violence, there's fight. This is literally two MPs at each other's net. Honorable Hassan Tampuli together with Roxy Nelson, the Femekwa, pushing and pushing, holding each other's clothes as we speak, and their leaders are trying to separate them, and none of them will allow this to happen.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. My guest, Nana Atodazi, international political transition expert and senior lawyer. Bobby Banson is private legal practitioner and lecturer at the Ghana School of Law. Mary Awalana Ada is executive director, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII. Rhoda Osei Afo is senior research analyst, Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD. And we spoke to Erastus Asare Donko, investigative and environmental journalist with the Multimedia Group, who has come under threat for simply exposing wrongdoing. As far as Galamsey is concerned, illegal mining, which is an existential threat to all of us. Alhaji Habib Idrisu, MP, Tolong, and First Deputy Minority Whip will join us for this segment. And as you know, something has been happening in Parliament. Let's go there quickly and return to hear from our guest.
All this happening right in the middle of all this. Austin Game trying to calm things, and there's a violence, there's fight. This is literally two MPs at each other's net. Honorable Hassan Tampuli together with Roxy Nelson, the Femekwa, pushing and pushing, holding each other's clothes as we speak, and their leaders are trying to separate them, and none of them will allow this to happen, and they've been separated as we speak. But this is chaos. This is a lot of very not so nice scenes as the marshals and other persons try to separate the conflict and the confrontation that is currently ongoing here at the appointment committee, where really not so much good scenes. The 9th Parliament is starting on not so good scenes so far. A lot of policemen walking in. Our policemen are walking in. A lot of policemen from the Parliamentary Protection Unit have now walked in, and they are trying to ensure that there is order and there is calm here ultimately for this process to happen. But this table has become the center of attraction, with MPs pulling and pushing with a lot of confrontation. Please pick it. Yeah. This is chaos. Well, as you can see, I mean, this MP says they will not allow these tables to be, the tables are literally being pushed, where the NDC MPs trying to rearrange the tables. The MPP MPs are not allowing this to happen, and these are really terrible scenes as we are seeing in Parliament, with honorable members right at each other's throats, fighting and pushing and pulling tables, saying that this vetting will not happen, that the pushing and pulling is ongoing. This is chaos. This is chaos right here in Parliament. These are reminiscent of some of the scenes we saw when the Speaker of Parliament was elected in the 8th Parliament. But this time around, this is happening at the Appointment Committee of Parliament. A small group of people trying to have some agreement in terms of what exactly they have to do. And there's absolutely no agreement. This is chaotic. This is chaos. The MPs at each other's throat, they say that this will not happen. The vetting process, they will not allow this to happen, and they have to push and pull. The police have been beefed up. There's a lot of policemen now in the building where they're trying to sort out the situation and calm things, but it's chaotic. It's really chaotic with all the things that are happening here. Well, It's chaos. The table have been turned. It's chaos. It's chaos. It's chaos. It's chaos. The table have turned. More microphones are falling to the ground and things are being destroyed. The table has broken. The table has been broken.
It's rather unfortunate on the part of the minority. I may say micro minority for the attitude that they exhibited so far in this vetting process. We are all surprised and very shocked. Destruction of what? State properties is uncalled for. It's uncalled for.
Right, thank
and
you.
must be investigated. And some of the MPs might be subject for this unfortunate development. It's rather unfortunate.
Thank you. Thank you. You see there some of the support. Right, these party supporters obviously not happy about all
the regular thing that is done is that under the standing orders, the names are published for 2 weeks to receive memoranda from the general public. Then on the basis of some of the feedback that we receive from the public, we proceed to schedule the nominees for vetting. In this case, the 2 weeks were waived. So if we were unwilling to participate in this exercise, we wouldn't have allowed for the 2 weeks to be waived. You understand what I'm saying? And on some occasions, some of the nominees have gone through after spending just about 5-10 minutes. All right? Some have had just about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So sometimes, depending on your own responses, your responses will determine how long you stay here.
Right. Thank you very much, Minister. Let me try and get one word from you, Honorable.
Yeah.
These are not good scenes for Parliament. How do you...
No, they are not good scenes. And as the leader said, as the leader of the House said, it is regrettable. But unfortunately, we have bent backwards several times. The number of people that were supposed to be vetted today, we've exceeded it. Even the 2 weeks advertising, we've waived it. Now it's like we just are going to be bullied. It won't happen.
It won't happen.
Right, so those were scenes from the Appointments Committee on Thursday night, and the Speaker took swift action the next day, yesterday, and issued suspension orders from sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks to the following people who were involved: Roxanne Nelson Eche Kwame Dafamapo, Frank Anodompre, Alhassan Suleimana Tampuli, and Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I've been surprised because almost all the people involved, except Anodompre, that I don't have any, personal relations with. I know Roxanne. Roxanne was a year ahead of me with Alexander Fenyomaking. I know Jerry. We sat in class together. Hassan Tampuli, I handed over to him as the president of the SRC. He was a year, behind me. Yeah, he was your mate, right? And these people are naturally calm. They have a calm demeanor. So I don't know, seeing the pictures I was seeing, I'm like, when you go to Parliament, there's something else happening to you. Mahama Yaga says something. Let's hear that before we hear from our guest.
Oh, man. And so there's no way, in fact, even if they were here, the destruction of some of the machines here cannot be easily replaced tonight. So for that reason, it is practically impossible to continue with the vetting. So I am pleading with all sides, that we should bring proceedings to an end. And tomorrow, given that the facilities here have been destroyed, by morning we will designate a new location within the House to continue with the vetting of the nominees. But before I end, let me caution everybody that, you see, all of us have supporters out there. All of us need to satisfy our supporters. And so when we are vetting, let's make good use of the time allocated to us so that we can be efficient, we can vet as many people as possible, so that we can have the ministers at the various ministries functioning and delivering on the commitments that Ghanaians endorsed at the polls by the way they voted. So I am pleading with members of the committee, and I will have discussions with my colleague, the minority leader, so that we can come to some conclusion on the time allocation and how long we take to vet individual nominees. So please, I am pleading with you. Because what we have done today, we have seriously damaged our reputation as a parliament. We have seriously damaged our reputation as a parliament. It will take us a lot of effort to redeem ourselves. But I know that Ghanaians can forgive, and they will forgive us. But going forward, let us be decent when we are doing the vetting. It is not right to spend 3 hours, 4 hours questioning a nominee. It is not right. It provokes a lot of people. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask nominee questions, but let's be moderate in our approach. I can understand the passions and the anger informing the decision to continue, even though today you have done so well. Indeed, today you had scheduled to vet 3 people. You agreed among yourselves and then made it 4. Then you agreed among yourselves and you extended it to 6. Unfortunately, the developments now makes it difficult to continue and implement the agreement. So I am pleading with you, bear with us. We are ending proceedings and tomorrow we'll continue. Meanwhile,
What if they come tomorrow and they do the same thing? Will you stop? They insisted that there will be no proceedings. We can we decided
oh, please. You know where the instructions are coming from. I beg you. Please sit down. Oh, sit down. Please. So we are ending it. The leader of the house has spoken. So please.
So Habib, his own people were opposing him, trying to calm things down because they wanted to continue rather than yield to what you had succeeded in procuring, that it was not going further, right?
Not exactly, but it only go to confirm where the problem was coming from. The fact that the majority leader is coming down his people, which they refuse to actually listen to majority leader, and the leader of the house is an indication where the problem started from. And if I may just give you a background, I'm a member of...
I need just your quick thoughts around it. I want to do something. We'll go to our guests, they speak, you hear them, what they have to say about you and your country before we hear you. So very quickly, I'm a member of the appointment committee by the virtue of the fact that I'm a leader of the house. You're supposed to be ranking.
No, I'm not the ranking.
No, deputy ranking.
No, the minority leader.
Okay.
I'm the first deputy minority chief whip.
Okay.
And then under Standing Order 2177, the leadership of the house are members of the appointment committee. So I was there. In fact, what actually started the whole issue was to the effect that that very day, the minority, we have always compromised. And you are in the media, a recap of how governments have been set up. This is the fastest ever. About 30 ministers have been vetted and set up. It's unprecedented because we cooperated with them. We had to even stand down Standing Order 3, that when the president send the list. It goes to the speaker. He comes to the floor, refer it to the appointment committee. We stand down the standing orders for this to happen. That very fateful day.
As in the advertisements.
In the advertisements. And the fact that even the formal communication from the presidency, the speaker had to read it on the floor and refer it to the committee. You could see that it doesn't happen.
So that normally there would have been some space for people to make an input, then you use the people's input to do the vetting.
Yes, so that's good faith on the part of the minority because we want to help the majority set up their government quickly. The second part we compromise is that under our standing orders in 2173, sector committees head, that the leadership of the sector committee, for example, if we are vetting the education minister, the ranking, vice-ranking, chairman and vice-chairman are to be co-opted into the appointment committee. Our committees are not set up in parliament yet because it's just a new ninth parliament. We said we'll appoint just the leaders so that we can aid them to do the vetting. On that very fateful day, we agreed that we were going to vet 3 people. We went on conclave. I was there. We agreed that we were going to vet Rashid Pelpo for the fact that he is senior. He's a 5th-timer or so, or 6th-timer. He's a former leader of the House. So we give him that respect, and we say we'll vet him. Then after that, we'll vet Murtala Mohammed, the Minister for Environment. And after that, we'll do some George. That was the 3 we were going to do the day. Then they came to plead that Honorable Akando, the Health Minister designate, his people came from the Western North. They've been here.
I heard one of the chiefs complaining very bitterly.
So for that matter, we should add him. We compromised and we said that there's no problem. Let's add Akando.
So that made 4.
That made 4. So we started vetting of Rashid Pepo. It was done. Murtala was done. Sam George was done. Then they said, oh.
Sam George was done after 5 hours.
Yes. Then they said, they said that is not new.
Yeah, it's not new,
former finance minister was vetted for 2 days.
That's correct.
It's not new. So then they said we should bring in Kofi Adams.
It was vetted over 2 days, not for 2 days.
Over 2 days.
Yeah.
Thanks for that correction. And then we said, okay, no problem, bring in Kofi Adams, Minister for Sports. Then we vetted him, making it 4. Then they come back to tell us that, oh, Nikpe, the Minister for Transport is there. Let's vet him too. We agree, and we vetted the Minister for Transport. Then we were tired. From 10 up to about 10 p.m., 10:30. Then what is the purpose of the vetting? People who are even following us, who are listening to us, at 10:30, who will be following you again? Then you were insisting that we should vet Akando and vet Ablakwa and 2 others to make it 10. Then we said no. For that one, we are tired. It will not happen. Then their mantra is that they are 183 and we are 88. So if we will not participate, we should walk out. But they should know that this parliament, we will never walk out.
You said that at your press conference.
We will never walk out. We will be there and make sure that our voices are heard.
You'll be there and cause chaos.
No, we don't cause chaos.
No, the question is, if you will not participate in a process, you walk out or you sit quiet.
No. If there is no agreement, like in this case, we have compromised from day one, helping them. That very day, we vetted 5. It's not like we did not participate. 5 instead of 3. Then you are saying that you are added additional 5 to make it 10 on that day. What is the purpose of the
24-hour economy? Allow them. If you are not interested, walk out because they say they still have a quorum, they have the numbers, they want to continue. So walk out and leave them to do their work. But you say you will not walk out.
And you will not allow it to.
And you will not allow it to happen. What that means is that you are going to use fiscal force.
No, Samson, if you watch the videos very well, when the chairman is seated, the minority is to his left and the majority is to his right.
Correct.
Ask yourself, where did the problem come from? The problem was coming from the left because the majority attacked the minority and all the tables that were being done was from the minority side. Watch the video very well. If we were to cause the problem, we were attacking them. We were going to the speaker right, where the deputy majority leader is seated and the rest. And you see that the problem will start there. But they rather came to where the minority were seated. Watch the video very well.
We saw those of them sitting at Jerry Ahmed's place. Anodon actually issued the instructions that they should dismantle the tables.
Nobody issued any instructions.
No, he did. He did.
No. You have already...
He said, dismantle the tables. No. Do it. And they were doing it.
You see, you know Frank Anodon very well. And even 3 or 4 days ago, my respected senior here was here to defend an issue involving somebody.
Oliver Bakavomo.
There was an issue with Anodompre. Anodompre is a fourth-time MP. He has been very calm in his 16 years in Parliament. He is not a troublemaker. Even that day, if you look at his reaction when he was verbally attacked by the lady, you will know that he's a true gentleman. He will never start a fight. And he has been, in the majority side, there was two, in the 8th Parliament, there was two main issues. The election of the Speaker, and then the e-levy when the first Deputy Speaker was attacked. Right. Anodompre was the majority whip. Did you see him appearing in?
But at least let's be faithful to the facts in this case. He's the one also asking for chairs to be put on the tables and close up, the tables, and we can hear him say it, and they do it.
I told you, this is not the first time. The majority side, even on the floor of Parliament, if you follow proceedings on the certain Friday, the minority leader, Honorable Afenyo Markins, because one of the MPs on the NDC side said, let's beat them up. He said it on the floor of Parliament and said that he should desist. That was Ashama MP. He called it out. And then it was Mama Ayerga. I respect him as the leader of the House. He's very calm. He believes in negotiation and for us to be able to solve problems amicably. He said, let's beat them up. That day, that was the same posture they said. Let's beat them up. That's, you beat who? We are
you held the press conference the next day, and Afenyo Markins said, we are few, but a mighty few. You will never walk out. It's not going to be part of your policy, but you will stay and insist that right is done. That's the question I'm asking. It means you are going to use fiscal force.
No. Samson, do you think on that very day that we were supposed to vet 3, we ended up vetting 5, and at the same time they were still insisting we should vet additional 5? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's right? Do you think you
have been doing it by consensus?
And there was no consensus in this.
And this is
in this instance.
And this is a democratic process.
What is the purpose?
Where consensus does not win, there's a vote that has to go on. So you participate in the vote. If you lose the vote, you continue. If you lose the vote, you don't want to continue, you boycott. Is that not what you're supposed to do?
On the record, the chairman of the committee, who is the first deputy speaker, refused to even suspend for 1 minute for us to have conclave and discuss the path that you are talking. Because if after these problems was to solve the problem, the chairman of the committee could suspend for like even 1 or 2 minutes.
So he was imposing rather than
trying to reach out. Then he could say, okay, let's suspend and let's go on to conclave. Then when we go on conclave, okay, we shouldn't continue. Say, okay, let's continue. Okay, then if that's the case, let's vote. We didn't even go to that stage.
I see.
They think that they could force their way through. They think that the right thing to do was to attack the minority. And that's why the minority leader saying that we are mighty few. Yeah. We will definitely not be intimidated. Walking out of the 9th Parliament, it's not part of
the Speaker has issued, penalties, suspension to these members. They are not only MPP members. NDC is involved here. You have issued a tall statement in which you attack the Speaker that what he's doing is wrong and that you are challenging his decision and you are not going to allow him to do that.
Yes, Samson, as much as I condemn the act of violence, because we are members of Parliament, we're supposed to be role models. What actually happened there is rather unfortunate, and we are remorseful. And, on behalf of the minority caucus, we are actually sorry about the violent nature.
Yeah, even individual members. I heard Jerry, others, they issued their own apology.
So I apologize as a leader, on behalf of my colleagues, that this very individual, they are not violent by nature. I have spoken about Frank Anodompre. Hassan Tampuli, as you said, you handed over to him. He has been in the House. This is his 2nd term. Tampuli have always been calm. He's very respected. He's not a violent person, even the too violent that, okay, Tampuli will not necessarily get involved. He will argue. You lawyers, you like to argue rather than to be physical. Jerry Ahmed is a first-time MP. He too is the same thing. What we are saying is that we, as much as the Speaker is the head of the institution under Order 20 and preside over these issues, and he tried to bring calm, but we are saying that the posture and the procedure he has adopted is very wrong in law.
You say it is partisan.
It's very, very partisan, because you watch the TV. the program. You were watching. Then you watch at the end of the day. Then 3 minority members are suspended and 1 majority member is suspended. Definitely on the face of it, you'll be able to see that clearly. And more to the point, the Speaker, as the head of the institution, does not have that power to suspend members of Parliament. He doesn't, under the standing orders that we have.
He doesn't?
He doesn't have it. Because, you see, if you go and check, and the procedure and what he has done is too harsh. Because even our standing orders have given how members are supposed to be suspended. Now, Samson, you are a lawyer that I respect too much. And
you had better yourself to...
Wait.
Order
Hold on.
130.
Hold on.
No, I'll come to Order 130 and give you the details of Order 130.
Before that 130, you stay at Order 36.
32
you find
itself.
something.
It starts from
35.
Order 32.
Right.
Order 32 before you get to 36, before you get to 130. Samson, even the Speaker's own statement and directive have already been violated by the majority, the NDC. They have already violated his order. Because one of the orders, I was in the chamber yesterday, in fact, you could see that
you were playing the Speaker's voice.
The Speaker had said that, for that matter, selection committee should meet immediately. I am a member of the selection committee, to reconstitute the appointment committee. And Speaker was saying that on the back of Order 217, where 217 clearly mentioned officers in terms of the composition of the appointment committee. And for the benefit, I'll just read part of it. He said, the appointment committee shall comprise the first deputy speaker as the chairman, the minority leader as ranking member, the deputy majority leader as vice chairman, and the following other members. 1, the majority chief whip. 2, the minority chief whip. So if the Speaker had made directive on the floor saying that I have suspended these 2, majority and minority, and for that matter, selection committee shall meet and then reconstitute the appointment committee. In the wisdom of the Speaker, if these people are suspended, the appointment committee is not more properly constituted. It's not about quorum. It's about constituted. If it is quorum, that's where you mention the members that are there. But these are officers that have been mentioned, that the appointment committee should be made up of the first deputy speaker as the chairman, this and that, and these officers have been mentioned.
All right.
So, and he said today, that was what he said. So when the minority leader, Honorable Afenyo-Marke, respected leader who led that very well, was in there, I came in and I told him that he should not continue, because if he continue, he's violating the order of the speaker. And for that matter, I was whipping him.
The Mahama Yarga gave the information that the Speaker had said. He approached the Speaker, and the Speaker has said that the meeting that he called for the selection and everything, it's suspended until Monday.
But the point is that, Samson, if the Speaker comes to make a public on his communication to the whole world, must he call an individual and tell him that, oh, what I said? He emphasized today, look for the video.
All right.
He said today, then must he call the majority leader alone, of which I am a member of that committee and other people are members of
He didn't
committee.
call him. He said he sort of accosted the Speaker when the Speaker was moving out and told the Speaker that the vetting process was ongoing. So asking that there should be a meeting will not be possible. And the Speaker said, okay, he was also going to the airport to see his wife off. Therefore, the meeting he had called for immediately should not happen, but happen on Monday.
Samson, do you think this is right? Do you think, in law, whether this was right? The fact that the Speaker have come on the floor of Parliament, make a statement, very categorical, that a selection committee should meet today,
so that's the point
and
you raised.
reconstitute. Must you be approached by the majority leader?
So just speak to this issue before we move on, where you say the Speaker doesn't have power. You say the Speaker's decision is unilaterally to unilaterally suspend these 4 MPs without due process, without an opportunity for them to be heard, under Article 19(1) of the Constitution, acting contrary to provisions of the standing orders, and without first exhausting internal disciplinary mechanisms, sets a dangerous precedent. It signals an era where the Speaker can arbitrarily punish members of Parliament based on perceived disobedience rather than adherence to parliamentary rules and fairness.
So, Samson, just even look at the communication from the Speaker, the order. He said, 1, that I am setting up a 7-member committee. He mentioned the name of the committee, and he went further to say that this committee is to investigate what happened yesterday and any member who is found culpable or being involved, there will be punishment to that person, including properties damaged. They will pay for it.
They will be surcharged.
Good. They will surcharge. Then on the same line, then you went ahead to suspend 4 members on the same thing. That was the essence of the committee that you have set up.
In internal disciplinary proceedings, you can indict people, suspend them while the process goes on. And then when the process ends and they are exonerated, you reinstate them. If they are affected, then you increase or give them the sanctions.
Then the point is that why set up a committee to investigate to see who is involved and already crucify people for not even being heard, as you lawyers put it, the other party rule in Article 19(1). And our orders, he cannot suspend somebody under Order 130 for 2 weeks. Right. And if I may read, even if there is a contempt decision, where a member is found to be in contempt of Parliament under Order 129, the member shall be suspended immediately from the House, unless the House otherwise decide. The suspension shall be on the first occasion for 4 sitting days, the second occasion for 8 days, the third occasion for 12 days. Where from these 2 weeks? And then even if they are in contempt of Parliament, now contempt need to be
there will
established.
have to be a committee of privileges. Let me bring my guest in. There will have to be a privileges committee that will sit on it and decide whether somebody is in contempt. But you will agree that under Order 35, the Speaker has the power to direct a member to withdraw from the House. That one doesn't have to go through an investigation.
But he was not talking about withdrawal. He's talking about suspension.
That's correct. I understand you. All right. So let me go on and hear from the ladies. Let's begin with Rhoda Osei-Afo. Rhoda, what's your commentary about what is going on in Parliament?
Well, Samson, there's a scene from what transpired from the footage that we've seen where I think policemen are carrying the table that had been broken. They were carrying it out of the venue. And I asked myself, so if somebody met these police people carrying the table just outside of that place and said, oh, what happened? Then the police people would say what? Our members of Parliament were fighting or they were resorting to violence and therefore they broke tables. I mean, this is definitely going to be one of the day, it's a day of national shame, a day of shame for the nation, you know. Coming on the back of what happened exactly 4 years ago, it's quite unbelievable that our members of Parliament will allow themselves to go back to that kind of line. We are in a democracy, and one fundamental understanding of a democracy is that there's no place for violence as a conflict resolution mechanism, right? So that is something that all of us need to get down, that there's no place for violence in our attempt to resolve any conflict, whatever the nature of the issue may be. Now, the other interesting thing for me is the issue at stake, right? This is an issue about whether to continue with sitting or hearing or vetting or not. If for a matter as simple as this, members of Parliament cannot talk among themselves, they cannot negotiate, they cannot build consensus on this, then really, I don't know which other issues they will be able to do that.
Habib is saying the process is such that they will sit together and agree that we do 3, and they agreed on that. Then later they agreed again that we'll do 4 or 5. Then later they agreed that they will do 6. So if you want to add, the expectation was that you go through a consensual process. You don't impose. As far as he's concerned, the chair was seeking to impose additional people to be vetted.
Fair enough. We can go into the merits of their respective cases, who was right, who was wrong. But one point that we all need to be clear about, Samson, is that we cannot, whether we have a good case or not, resort to violence. That is something that has to come clear to everyone, that irrespective of whatever your issue may be, there should be some other alternative means of pursuing your case other than violence. We cannot tolerate that in a country that calls itself a democracy. This is something coming down 30 years down the line. I mean, we've been doing this, and here in 2025, this is what we decide to do. I think we could just read the speaker's statement. I believe it strongly captures the sentiment of many Ghanaians in terms of our displeasure, in terms of anger about what transpired. I think the speaker was able to use the right words to capture exactly our displeasure about what happened. We don't expect this to come back again. We're hoping, this is something that the speaker has spoken about, that respect is earned. He had made this statement in the House just a day or two before this issue occurred. These are members of parliament sitting live on camera, and they were not even mindful. They couldn't show us the respect that they are live on camera. The people of Ghana are watching them, and therefore they are mindful of their conduct. So from so many directions, this is so unacceptable. We of course want to also acknowledge that they've apologized, but really it shouldn't have happened at all in the first place. Now, the issue about, I think my difficulty with the speaker's statement is about the procedure. First of all, the members that have been suspended, it would have been good for us to know, first of all, on what basis is it that these were the frontliners? We've watched the videos, we've seen some of them, but it would have been great if there was some information about why they...
Those that have been suspended, Rhoda, those that have been suspended, let's be faithful to the facts. Those that have been suspended, you see them in the video in misconduct. We can say that for a fact. Habib, and I think the minority's view is that there are more than only these people. And that number of those who have not been affected will include NDC MPs, which would have meant that in the end, the committee could not continue. But this happened in such a way that you take away the NDC MPP MPs, and the committee is still quorate. There's a quorum for it to continue its business. I think that's their concern.
No, so I'm not even speaking to the minority's concerns. What I'm saying is that for the public, for our own appreciation of what happened, because there were so many people involved, we want to be able to understand the basis for suspension of these people. Maybe they were, like you said, we saw the videos, we saw some of them picking up chairs or pulling tables and all of that. So that there's that clarification in the minds of people as to why these are the ones who have been suspended. Of course, there's also the issue about the procedure. And I also, having gone through the constitutional provisions in respect of the conduct of parliamentarians and the provisions that have been made available in terms of how we deal with it, and also the standing orders, I thought that that process of going through the privileges committee would have also been something that should have been explored. Of course, it's clear that almost everyone is angry at what happened, and everyone will appreciate the resource as speedy, as swift action through the privileges committee. Unfortunately, I understand it's not constituted yet, but because Parliament constantly reminds us about the procedures that they resort to, their own procedures and their standing orders, it would have been great if we had seen those processes being followed through. But of course, the speaker's action was swift, and that really captures the sentiments of Ghanaians, which is that this is really uncalled for, this is unnecessary, that this is very shameful, and we do not accept this. Okay.
I said I'll go to the two ladies before, but let me come to Bobby. Now, Bobby, the order 35 of their new standing orders is headed exclusion of disorderly member. And it reads that where in the opinion of the person presiding over the house. Where in the opinion of the person presiding over the house. Somebody puts up whatever conduct over the house or a committee. Somebody puts up a certain behavior. It says that person has the power to order the member to withdraw from the precincts of Parliament, and that member shall immediately leave the precincts and shall not enter the precincts again during the remainder of the day's sitting. But when you move to 100, quickly, let me go there. So we find out whether the Speaker actually had the power or did not, as the NPP accuses him that he does not. When you go to 130, 130 is headed suspension of member for disorderly conduct. Remember, 35 is exclusion of a member for disorderly conduct. Now, this one is a suspension of member for disorderly conduct. Where a member is found to be in contempt of Parliament under whatever orders, blah, 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 then the suspension can take place. Do you think the Speaker has the power to do a suspension in the circumstance?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Since he made those orders, I have tried to read something generally in our jurisprudence. There are some pillars of our jurisprudence that there is no law that can override those pillars. One of them is the breach of the rules of natural justice. There is no law that can take away the right of a person to be heard before punishment is released on that person, if I may put it that way. That we have, and I'm happy he was in the shot, Honorable Mahama Yariga. And I want to say throughout all the video, for me, he was my hero. The way he was able to stand and calm down everybody, you could see even asking people on his side to sit down and then ask, and you see everybody was listening to him. And I think if there was anybody that showed leadership within that 10 minutes fracas, I dove my heart out to him. Now he did this WAEC case where the Supreme Court held that the WAEC rules that allowed them to withdraw or to withhold exams results without giving the students the opportunity to be heard was unconstitutional. And that is, if that case, they said, even God does not punish us without giving us an opportunity to be heard.
Is it not standard that in a workplace setting or in an organization setting, when people conduct themselves in a manner that breaches the rules, the first thing they may suffer will be to get a suspension. And then there will be a hearing. The Speaker has set up a committee to hear, to now determine what punishment should happen. Is that not the same thing?
Unfortunately, that has been the practice, but it is unlawful. It is wrong. And I have a Court of Appeal decision to support this. It's by Justice Quay as it then was. The case is Thompson versus Total Ghana Limited. It's reported in 2009, 5 GMG 108 at 121. And this is what the Court of Appeal said. In certain jurisdictions, suspension from employment was a disciplinary measure. An employee, after an administrative investigation or inquiry, was suspended from duty without pay for the duration of the suspension as a lesser punishment than summary dismissal. Under such conditions, the affected employee was found guilty or culpable in respect of the alleged offense. In such a case, there could be no punishment or suspension imposed without prior inquiry, where the suspect was given a hearing. The instance of suspension, okay, so then they said you use the word interdiction. Okay. So he went further to explain the difference. In some instances, suspension is used interchangeably with interdiction. Then he says interdiction, without attempting a precise legal definition of it, is where a worker is asked to step aside pending investigations.
That's right.
So there are two different legal terms.
So this doesn't sound like an interdiction.
No, this is a punishment. He has said that I'm suspending you
for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, and I'm going to investigate. Like Honorable said, what then are you going to investigate if you have already formed your conclusion? Now, the first 35 that you read.
When you are arrested for an offense, you are a suspect.
Yes.
You can lose your liberty.
The Constitution provides for that. The Constitution says that everybody is entitled to fundamental human rights, except as otherwise provided by the Constitution. So the Constitution says, for example, if you go to boarding house, the boarding house, you have submitted yourself to the rules of the boarding house. In addition, they say siesta is light out is 10 p.m. You can't say that you have a right to move around anytime you want. And so you are, and the Constitution says for educational purposes, those rights can be restricted. Now, if you read the Order 35, where in the opinion of the person presiding over the house, or means that it is disjointed, not conjunctive, or a committee, and I believe this instance it was a committee. So the person presiding over the committee would be the chairman. So whatever conduct that is deemed to be grossly disorderly, it is the person who is presiding that can order the withdrawal of that member.
All right.
And in this instance, that is what the 35 says. The 35 says, where in the opinion of the person presiding over the house or a committee, the conduct
so
of
they are standing orders.
Yes.
Nana, hold on. This is their own standing orders.
The conduct of a member is grossly disorderly. It is the person presiding who may order that member.
It is Bernard Ahiafo
Who had that power?
Who had the power?
Yes.
To order their exclusion.
Yes, withdrawal from the. Yes.
Okay.
That is what he says. And since the Honorable Speaker was not the person presiding, he cannot rely on this order. Now, the other one that you read, the 130,
yes,
suspension of a member for disorderly conduct.
I think that one is clear that it is
you have to go
for a contempt hearing process.
And there must be a motion, and it says that the member, minister or deputy minister shall be heard in defense. Order 129 Rule 8. And so,
okay, hold on.
The NDC case
hold on.
and the Supreme Court.
Hold on.
The mandamus application. They are right to be heard. That was what the Supreme Court.
Quickly, let me go to Osei Mensah Bonsu. That's a colossus when the rules come to play. Yes. First, let's take your view, but without seeking to narrow it to whether the speaker was wrong or right. A quick check, a quick research will show that speakers all over the world, almost everywhere in the world, have been vested with certain powers to issue certain sanctions. And these sanctions could include asking a member to withdraw, and I understand that is when they are making a statement or something of the sort. And they can also include suspension, but a reading around suggests that suspension can only happen after a hearing. What do you say? Now that the minority is challenging the speaker's orders, what's the way out?
Thank you very much. I think that the incident which happened last Thursday and indeed in the morning of yesterday, Friday, certainly brings the name of Parliament into disrepute. It is grave and requires to be dealt with promptly. And the Speaker of Parliament is right to have availed himself of the imperative of Order 34 of the new standing order, which provides that despite anything contained in these orders, the Speaker may refer any matter of privilege to the Committee of Privileges and Immunities for examination, investigation, and report. I think the Speaker has, in view of the incident, directed the immediate suspension of the two chief whips for both majority and minority, respectively, and two other members, namely Alasan Suleiman Atampuli and Jerry Ahmed Shai. Their suspension, as you said, is to last for 2 weeks. Now, the question to ask is from where the Speaker is deriving his authority, as I have heard you discussing.
The Speaker doesn't quote any rule.
In fact, neither the standing orders nor the Constitution grants the Speaker any such authority. The Order 35, which I heard one of your panelists quote, that is on the exclusion of this disorderly member, and he has quoted it rightly when he says that in the opinion of the person presiding over the House or a committee, the conduct of a member is grossly disorderly. The person presiding may order the member to withdraw from the presence of Parliament, and that member shall immediately leave the presence of Parliament and shall not enter Parliament again during the remainder of the day's sitting. So, you see, if an incident happens in plenary,
in the
when
course,
the Speaker is presiding, then the Speaker is close the authority to cause the withdrawal of that person from the presence of Parliament. And even that.
Oh, we just lost us, Chairman Sabon. So let's get him back. Let's get him back. But in the UK Parliament, in the US Congress, in the Australian Parliament, they appear to have these powers beyond simply asking a member to withdraw, but also to suspend. But again, it must be said that in most of these situations, for suspension to happen, there must be a hearing. Yeah, Honorable Chairman Sabosu, thanks for joining us back.
Sorry, the line dropped. So I was saying that even if it happens in a plenary where the Speaker is presiding, the order for the member to withdraw from the presence of Parliament lasts for the remaining period of the 24-hour sitting day. It doesn't last for 2 weeks. In this particular case, it happened before a committee of Parliament. And indeed, that order ought to have been issued by the chairman of the appointment committee, not the right honourable Speaker.
Okay.
So that is it. And indeed, the Speaker has said that, stated that even before the Committee of Privileges commences their inquiry, he said that anyone found culpable of contemptuous conduct shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacement, with deductions made from the monuments, including the salaries of members, if necessary. Clearly, the Speaker is jumping the gun. And from the top of his head, he's proffering his own sanction.
Whilst we still have you, I want to do quick so I come back to my guest in the studio and also on Zoom. Can you pronounce on the effects or the legal effects of the vetting that happened after the Speaker's orders were issued and brought to the attention of the committee? Is it void? Can those people be sworn in? If they are sworn in, can somebody go to the Supreme Court and get them, removed?
What is the effect of the Speaker's own directive? I think we are all indicating that the Speaker has not only jumped the gun, but he has gone outside the prescriptions of the law to impose his own sanctions. In fact, Order 36 provides the sanction regime, and the Speaker has gone outside that, even before the committee sits. So his own attitude and conduct is really, with the greatest respect, questionable. The good thing for us is that today is a non-sitting day. Tomorrow is a non-sitting day. I would plead with the two leaders, the majority and minority leaders, to have a quick meeting with the Speaker to resolve this matter. Because otherwise it may deteriorate.
The question I asked you, sir, was that once the order was made,
if the order is an illegality,
it ought not be disobeyed until it has been properly set aside. That's the rule of law, isn't it?
If the order itself is an illegality, how can anybody apply it?
In the court, we say that even if a judgment is made in error, is wrong, is void, once it's been made, an order is made, the only way to change it is to take the right procedure to set it aside. Otherwise, it must be obeyed.
Is the reason why I'm saying I want to plead with the two leaders to have a quick engagement with the Speaker over the weekend to bring this matter to a resolution before the House commences.
That's good. But what do you say to the minority's position? They say that they don't intend to stage a walkout in this Parliament. If they have a view and the majority disagrees, they will not walk out, they will stay there and enforce it.
We're looking at a situation where the House could degenerate into something else. I think that we have had enough already. So it's coming back to the issue that I brought, that it is time for the two leaders to quickly have an engagement with the Speaker. I disagree with the method applied by the Speaker. His own orders are out of the standing orders. They have no place in the Constitution itself.
That point has already been made, sir.
But we need to resolve this. So let the two of them have a quick meeting with him over the weekend to resolve it.
Did the minority do the right thing when the majority insisted that they wanted to continue with the vetting, to vet extra more people, and the minority says, since we haven't discussed, we haven't agreed, it will not happen. We are not working out, but it will not happen. Were they right?
In plenary, before the House sit, the Speaker usually would have preceding meetings with the two leaders. And sometimes he extends it to the broader extended leadership. I guess what is not been happening is that the chairman and the ranking member, plus a couple of the leaders, are not having preceding meetings. I will encourage them to do that. If they do that, we'll be able to avoid this whole buhar that occasionally blows up.
I need your verdict on the particular conduct, this particular case. The minority is clear that the majority was seeking to add on to the list of people to be vetted, and they disagreed because they had not had a consensus. In the absence of the consensus, they insisted that they won't walk out, they will not participate, but they will ensure that the vetting does not continue. Did they do the right thing?
Something you and I are not privy to whatever discussions that went on. Whether the list was agreed on or not agreed on, I'm not in a position to tell.
No, those are facts that both of them have relayed to us. Mahama Yarga confirms exactly what Habib says.
On the list?
Mahama Yarga confirms it.
That they did not agree on the list. In that case, you have been wrong on the part of the chairman to have insisted. And if it is wrong on the part of the chair, then it would then straighten the path for the minority. But I think the cure for this meeting is to really have preceding meetings and agree on the terms and conditions of engagement every 15 days.
Is the minority right to use fiscal force to enforce their protests?
I will not encourage physicality, but I will encourage truthfulness and upholding the integrity of the House and the committee.
So in this case, they ought to have walked out.
I've painted a picture. If you want to give it a title, it's up to you to give it a title.
Either they walk out or they sit there quietly without disturbing the process, right?
Something. I've painted a picture. However you describe it, it's up to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu.
You are putting the issues in context. I've always been in pre-sitting meetings. That day, the whole protest was not the fact that we are not boycotting or we are not leaving. We said suspend. Even if you observe, anytime there is a problem, the minority leader will say that let's suspend and engage. But we said suspend and let's go and discuss this issue and we come back. He said he won't suspend. They should swear in the new nominee for us to continue. That was what.
And the way to stop it is to do it physically.
When persuasion fails,
force must be applied.
No way. No way.
They said they will beat us in the chamber. They have said it. And they will not also sit down for you to attack us. As much as we condemn what happened, as much as we are not happy with what happened, it was started by the NDC. They attack us. We told the chairman of the committee.
Let's hear from Nana Tudazi. He has not spoken on this. Okay, but let's go first to Mary Awalanada. Mary, what do you say? Having heard and gotten the education that we are having from Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu and others. Hello, Mary.
Hello, Samson.
I can hear you now.
Great. So no matter what we say, just like it is said by others, this is unacceptable behavior. It is disgusting. It is shameful. And unfortunately, it has shown that the Parliament of Ghana has not learned its lessons from its past indiscretions. It is really, really sad that on live TV, and it's not just transmitted in Ghana but across the globe, we decide that people we call honorable can descend to such lows and exhibit such characteristics. It is unfortunate that this is where we are supposed to be building consensus, there's supposed to be dialogue, and there's supposed to be agreement. that people would go to stoop to such low to be carrying tables and destroying property.
You have just been told. You have just been told that when persuasion fails, force must be applied.
Honorable Abib's statement on when persuasion fails, force must be applied. I believe you should get him to withdraw that. It is unfortunate. In Parliament, you do not use force. It is dialogue. It is the superiority of your dialogue, and it is building consensus. So if we are not able to do that, and I like the fact that Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, who has been a leader of the House before, has clearly stated that there must be some consensus and agreements and pre-engagements before they come to the public. Otherwise, these are very unacceptable. And I say that Honorable Abib should withdraw such statements, because we are going to be contending with the House for the next 4 years, and this is not the way to go. I again say that whatever the legalities and others are, whoever is wrong or right, I believe the Speaker was very apt in issuing the statement. Why do I say so?
The Speaker is guided by rules.
It's guided by rules, but yes, to ensure that the citizens whom these are honorable members, in this case, who behave very dishonorably, behaved, there was a need for some leadership. And so in issuing the statement to condemn the fact, he is the father of the house. And so I do not see any wrong in him doing that. But as to whether he is within his mandate to have suspended others, that has been clearly stated here. But I believe the issuance of the statement also gives assurance to the people of Ghana that this is a parliament whose leader is concerned about its reputation and would not sit aloof and watch people who come out to say when persuasion.
Many people are applauding the Speaker, but the Speaker cannot be acting like a dictator. That's what they are saying. He must act within the rules. What the rule does not say he can do, he cannot purport to do.
Seriously, Samson, I totally agree and concede on that fact. But I'm saying that the Speaker has also shown that clearly he is a leader. As to whether he was within his remit of suspending when there was no privileges committee as yet constituted, it's another thing that we need to talk about. But clearly he has shown that he is a leader who would want to lead the House. Going forward, the other discussions must be then interrogated to see the limits within which he can go, particularly for a minority which is very small. There is also a need for the Speaker to show that he is there for all, both sides.
Right. They say they are a mighty few, a few mighty minority. Let me come to Nana Tudaze. What's your say on this? Because we're looking forward.
Yes.
This has already happened. We are looking forward to avoid further such acts, particularly in the circumstance where the minority says we will never walk out.
Well,
we will not walk out when we lose a vote.
Thank you, Samson. But I hope I don't shock you. But I was in the House 2 days before.
That's right.
And I could literally predict what happened, the day after or 2 days after. You could see that there was chaos. There was absence of leadership. When I was sitting in there as counsel defending Baka Vomawo, the members were fighting over the speaker, the machine.
Microphones.
The microphones. The minority leader was taken over from the, what do you call it?
The chair.
The chairman. There was a time I had to call for direction because people said, we are the chair, this is from the chair. And I said, look, I can see the designated chair, but other people are saying they are the chair. I mean, there was confusion at that point in time. I mean, we were there. Yeah. I mean, so I'm saying 2 days before, and it was a problem. I could see a system failure. That is what it is. I've been in this business with them. I was part of the, parliamentary transition bill that's coming up. I was there in 1992 when we did the standing orders, you understand? So, unfortunately, when I attempted to indicate I understand what was happening, I had a punch in the face. That I was saying that I was 50 years at the bar and, my law was probably weak and whatnot. And a fair marking honorable went back 2 hours later to, City FM and explained why he was harsh at me. It's amazing. My children were mad because of what he said 2 days ago, that I was a bully in the house. I mean, this is out of the court, you see. So we lack that kind of tolerance. They lack that composure to tolerate each other. There was no leadership. The very arrangement, the sitting arrangement, I had a problem with it. You see, they were in a horseshoe formation.
Yeah.
And that's
anybody wants to speak,
so
the speaker doesn't give permission.
Yeah, so you immediately...
And the speaker keeps shouting that I have not allowed you to speak.
There was nobody really in charge. Because the person in charge, unfortunately, with all due respect, didn't seem to be asserting himself and was being challenged by the
Is he supposed to be fighting? You hear him shouting, sometimes trying to calm down. Yeah. What else can he do?
Honorable Habib, to just clarify on the issue that he was talking about, he appears counsel to Oliver, and at that time, the committee had the power of the High Court under the Constitution. So we were saying that Oliver was...
The power of the High Court is restricted to just 3 things you're supposed to do.
So
to summon appearance.
So that he was
to take evidence.
Good.
Yeah.
So and that was in that context. So he was under oath. So we were saying that since he's under oath, he should respond. Then counsel was saying that, okay, no, don't say anything. Then we were saying that if counsel want to talk, then we should put him to under oath. And then the chairman said that, no, how can you put a counsel under oath? And then minority leader also. So minority leader is a very...
That's not what I'm talking about.
But on that issue...
He appreciates a lot that you have achieved for yourself, and he will never disrespect.
On that issue, will you agree that you didn't pay attention to, or you were a bit unwilling to agree to what was actually the law? That you lead a client there doesn't mean that your client takes the oath and you still want to speak when your client who took the oath is the one who is supposed to speak according to law.
Sorry, I don't really want to have us divert from this issue of the structure and arrangement that of Parliament for that matter, the appointment committee. But I'll just tell you that we went to the appointments committee with a strategy. And what you saw me performing was really a strategy.
Was part of your strategy?
Yes, because I could see that, you see, they had put us there under Article 1036. As you rightly said, it has nothing to do with contempt, really. You get me? It's about attending to Parliament to produce, for production of material, whatnot. But they were adducing, they were going on to, is it Article 1, 2, is it 2? They were pursuing a line for contempt. And my view, that I didn't want to disclose, was that we will not let them, the committee, push that line. You see, because one, they haven't brought us under 122, and secondly, they were, we have our fundamental rights. We didn't have to produce evidence for them to convict us. And they said that this was a preliminary investigation towards raising...
Someone was actually calling your client suspect.
Yes, they were calling him a suspect. So that's why I said, is he a suspect here? But
no, I was the one who used the word, but I changed it to subject.
You and one other person.
Yeah,
but this was, I don't want us to.
You and another
I don't want us to be diverted.
Okay.
But we had a reason.
Right.
I didn't want Baka Vomo to speak unless he was in the proper forum, because that forum where we found ourselves was a wrong forum. It was an issue of jurisdiction.
So you didn't protest the forum?
No, I was drawing. Did you see? Remember, I was raising a paper by the invitation, and I said, look at 1036. Why you brought us here? And they wouldn't listen. It's part of our problem.
Okay.
I was saying, look at...
So how do we resolve this particular problem they are faced with now?
I tried to be short. One, I think that Parliament is a house of order. Must be a house of order. Parliament is a house of rules and regulations. Parliament is a house of record. And Parliament should be a house of honor, you know, for honorable people. And it should be a place for respect. Now, there are three categories of persons who interact within the Parliament. One, you are talking about the MPs, the members. Then you were talking about the staff. And the third one, the strangers or outsiders who come in. That, you know, we should show respect to them. Like I said, I went there presenting my client, and there was also reason for them to be, you know, some people to take advantage to be, behaving a certain way. But like I'm saying, what we saw on, what I saw in Parliament when I went there, and then what I had seen on television 2 days and yesterday, didn't show that Parliament was reflecting these values, you understand? And we will have to go back and the reset to say, what went wrong? What is it? And I think that basically, like I've shown you, for instance, the sitting arrangement is not correct. Because the situation where you don't know who is the leader, and the leader was not asserting himself, it's a problem for me.
If he has excuses for the way things were done, but it is not to conclude that there was no leadership. There was leadership.
I'm saying,
so Habib, for your excuse.
No, without respect.
But you should not conclude that there was no leadership.
No,
we were all in there.
Let me say that I had to ask at a point in time, I'm making a specific case. I said, I was confused. Because people were telling me, hey, this is from the chairman, I said, well, I could see the chairman.
Was telling you to respond to something and he insisted that it was from the chairman when the chairman had not said so.
So I had
that's
to call on
the issue you are referring to.
So I had to call on the chairman. So I said, look, chairman, please, I want the direction. Is it from you? You understand? That is the weakness that I'm talking about. I'm addressing a situation where the chairman's powers appear to be usurped.
Do you see a potential legal problem?
Yeah.
Regardless of the point made by Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, that the speaker's orders were wrong.
Yeah.
So they could be, say, they are void ab initio.
Yeah.
Once the orders were made and they brought it to the attention of the committee, the vetting they did after that, do you think could become problem, subject of litigation, that if those people are sworn in, somebody can go to the court and say that the committee was not properly constituted at the time. In fact, it was supposed to have suspended its work and it continued.
Yes, clearly, I mean, there's a challenge, permissible challenge out there. You know, interpretation of the orders, you know, how they come out. As I say, understand what is happening a little bit more. But Honorable Che Mensah, you could see he was reluctant to come out fully to conclusion. And I think that I would toe that line too. The House of Parliament, is they make their own rules. You see, they are masters of their own rules. So when they run into this kind of challenge, you know, what they do is they withdraw and then go into consultation. Let's not forget that the fundamental ground for creating this is a multipartism. You know, it's not a one-sided affair. So as much as possible, the issues of consensus building is paramount. You know, you must discuss things.
Members of the public are saying a number of things. Some are saying, let me read one to you. Combat Craze says, how the ordinary citizen gets years for breaking windows of cars in Parliament, but MPs get just 2 weeks of suspension. It's such a whack democracy. This certainly can't be a democracy. There are some saying, if they who took the MPs to Parliament did anything close to what they did, they would have been arrested, they would have perhaps not been granted bail, but the MPs did all this, the police were all there, and nothing happened. Practically, what were your expectations?
No. You know, is it Mary?
Yes.
Madam made a fantastic statement that irrespective of the weaknesses of the speaker's, statement, and orders, they should be thankful to the Speaker because he's redeemed the image of Parliament heavily. You understand? Listening around, people are simply disgusted at seeing part 2 of what happened in 2021 play out on television.
You're a senior lawyer. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It will collapse.
Yes.
What you are doing must have a foundation.
No, I'm not saying. I'm coming to that. I said the point is that I'm saying that irrespective of what it is, the conduct that was exhibited Thursday, Friday was unacceptable, and they must do that. Now, in Article 123, if you look at Article 123, which is where an act or omission which constitutes contempt of Parliament is an offence under the criminal law, the exercise by Parliament or the power to punish for contempt shall not be a bar to the institution of proceedings under the criminal law, which means that we all MPs must also understand that within Parliament, they don't have a liberty to commit crime.
The Speaker has made that direction, that the clerk should ensure that they report to the police.
Exactly.
Do you think anything will happen?
The point I'm making is that they may fault him on the orders, but what about the crime that's been committed? You were talking about a criminal activity.
Yeah, but let's talk about the substance. The police stood there, watched them do all they did.
No.
Will this same police be able to do anything to them?
No. It's a police strategy, you say police strategy where they themselves are overwhelmed by a boisterous crowd. You don't go in to try and arrest. You recall. I mean, the videos, we can use the videos to identify.
Yeah, so the clerk will report to the police. Then what will happen?
Well, let's leave it to the police.
What is your expectation? What will happen?
I've told you that for me, I think we are in a learning process. You understand? Parliament is young. There's been a first.
This is how you get to a banana republic.
No.
Some people are not equal before the law. Even your law say all are equal before the law.
No, Samson. I'm saying that, for instance, I don't know, Habib. Have we had a seminar training program for this?
Yes, they have done so.
Yeah, it should be a continuing program.
Habib, what do you think will happen when they report to the police?
Yes, something.
Would they report?
Habib, answer my question.
No,
the clerk is supposed to report those who misconducted themselves to the police. Yes. Those who broke tables, those who broke microphones. That is damage to public property. Yes. It is a criminal offense. Yes. Those who issued threats, those who actually, a bit of assault happened. What will happen? What is your expectation? What will happen?
Something. The Speaker's statement was very necessary. Because considering what happened, it was very necessary.
Okay.
But what we are saying is that, based on the question you just asked, why already punish the people when you have already given 2 other directives for investigation to be done? Then that punishment can be melted out to them. Because if the police investigate and come to the conclusion that, even the thing that you are talking, even though we could see on TV, it was not only the people mentioned, or they were not even party to it, assuming, until found guilty, you are still innocent. Then what happened with your orders? Or assuming the committee that you have set up come out to say that, yes, these people were in contempt of punishment. And the punishment for contempt under our standing orders in 130 says, first offense, give them 4 days. But you have already given them 2 weeks. Second offense, give them 8 days. You have already given them 2 weeks. So what we are saying that...
Or even escalate to suspension. You have already given them suspension.
For the suspension. So then what happened? The Speaker under Order 20 is the head of our institution. When your house is on fire, it's only a madman who goes to sleep when your house is on fire. So his house was on fire. Then he has to do something. Yes, setting up the committee is necessary. Asking or directing the clerk to report it to the police is necessary. But moving ahead to suspend them is not right. That's what we are saying. We are not saying that holistically what the Speaker did was entirely wrong. We condemn the act that happened. Those members, I have told you, you know Tampuli very well. You know Jerry Ahmed. And Arnaud Dompre is a fine gentleman. He's not a violent person. In fact, he doesn't want violence at all. So we are saying that we respect the decision of the Speaker, but he should also know that the first Deputy Speaker, who is the chairman of the committee, did not handle the matter look, yesterday, similar thing nearly happened until we solve it. What happened was that in the morning we had a caucus meeting. We reached out to the first deputy speaker. Roxanne called my boss, Anna Dompre, and told him that, a vetting will start at 10. Then when we were in our meeting, it was not 10 yet. We were watching the TV, then they started to swear in a candle. You see the bad faith we were talking. But we agreed that we were going to meet.
No, the chairman, after the chaos, it had been announced, is it either by the chairman or Ayarga, that the next day you were going to meet at 9.
Good. Yes. So when he said that, then the chairman, Mama Ayarga, then I respect him based on certain things that he has just done with this, reach out to the minority leader, and they were to meet. Roxanne, who is a majority whip, and Anna Dompre, who is in the minority whip. I was in the know, because that day, when it happened, I slept in my office in Parliament because of the time it finished, and Anna Dompre also slept there. So Roxanne said we were supposed to meet. So he had a conversation with Anna Dompre and said that, okay, we are meeting at Conclave to discuss what happened yesterday. So how then will you just move into swearing in another nominee?
The absence of the
pretending as if nothing happened the day before. And then when we went there, in fact, I went there in first in order to draw his attention. I told him that, Chairman, there is this issue and that. And he said no. Then I draw his attention to Order 64 to tell him that whether subject matter members were part of the quorum, so I could get my colleagues.
I think we can make progress. There's a suggestion that it cannot be said that the Speaker doesn't have a power that a committee that the Speaker sets up has.
That Parliament set up, Speaker is not a member of Parliament.
I'm not too sure.
He is not a member of Parliament. He is just to preside over us. He is not a member. It's the Committee of Parliament, not the Committee of the Speaker.
No, but
committees of Parliament are committees of Parliament, but not committees of the Speaker. But the Speaker is the head of the institution. But he's not a member of those committees that we are set up for members of Parliament. It's like a referee.
Okay.
But something, just 1 minute. I'm not too comfortable about this translation. You see, these committees, they are not outside the Parliament. They are part of Parliament. That's Parliament. And the chairman or whoever presiding, they are doing the work of the, what do you call it, of the Speaker. It's like, mini speakers are all those points. You understand? So when we talk about the powers of the chairman, I can't see how the powers of the chairman will be distinct from that of. It's part of of the powers of the Speaker.
Now let's move on. Let's come to
ask them two questions that they both dodged. What happened after the orders? The appointment committee continued to vet. For us, it's wrong, and we'll test the law if they continue. The appointment committee was not properly constituted at the time. I draw their attention, and if they continue to swear them in, we'll test whether a properly constituted committee can vet and pass members.
Yeah, but I didn't dodge it. I, for instance, specifically said that there are answers. That's why I refer to 1, 2, 3. That you see, you are looking at the civil, what do you call it, remedies that you can.
No, that's a different one. But let's come here. Why you were there before the committee was that your client had made a post that suggested that people were being, as nominees, were being asked to pay money to the appointments committee before their vetting. That is a big question that has arisen, and Joe Wise, former First Deputy Speaker, also had some comments to make. That's now made the issue a bit murky. That the Chief of Staff used to bring money to them or take care of what they had to do, and so on and so forth. And it's being said that this is corruption that has been going on. There was 2017, there was a similar situation where there was allegation of monies that were being paid the people, and a committee was set up by Joe Gate to investigate it. I was lawyer for Muntaka, who appeared before that committee. Let's get to that part.
Yeah, well,
the client apologized, so
Yeah, that's part of the problem. You see, first of all, I was instructed very late, about 7:30 p.m. to appear with him on at 10, and that's a lawyer's thing. So your client briefs you, and you grill him, and you gather. But it was absolutely clear, and it was clear in the mind of my client that the second statement was fake, and I believed him. As we spoke, I'm sure this is a very radical, hard.
That's a statement he had denied long before he was called to appear before the House.
Yes. So, and then I believed him that second post was real. And then, what about the first one? And then he did indicate, yes, I wrote that. But, part of what, of course, counsel's instructions you can't disclose all. I have seen it. I've noted. I have evidence. I have information. But, occasionally you have to advise your client. And it was like, well, maybe, but he said that the post was not addressed to to Parliament as such, the appointment committee. It was to open up and to expose what was happening generally. Of course, if you do, then another person thinks that it's defamed him. You can't escape blame. To that extent, we are prepared to apologize. And he agreed. We agreed on that. So we came into Parliament ready to withdraw. Unfortunately, as I said, they didn't give us much time, much room, to open up and explain. And both sides had come together, and probably, later on it came out, that they had taken a certain position before sitting. You see, they had a meeting that it's like picking up, it's a preliminary. They use the word preliminary investigation to collecting data or information to mount a contempt proceedings or refer the matter to privileges committee when it's constituted. That was what I had a problem with. If my client had to face contempt proceedings, you understand? Contempt proceedings is quasi criminal, you understand? So to that extent, all the rules of in defense of a client comes in, that he's presumed innocent until proven guilty. And then he is not the one to provide, evidence of self-incrimination. So, but they were saying he should disclose all those facts. I said, no, we had agreed, we will not do that. But we were prepared to offer apology if our statement was misunderstood. So it's like we were being intransigent, difficult, but we were saying that we were prepared to go on the 103.6 for which you brought us here. You get me? And we are prepared to apologize for, Parliament being dissatisfied with comments, made. But the Privileges Committee, the point I was making was, ought to have been happier with us. That at least we were, lancing the boil. You see, that's a problem. We were pointing it out. You understand? And when I referred to, I said it was like a whistleblower's act. And they said, no, this is not a whistleblower's act. I said that irrespective of whether it was the formal law or not, a citizen, like we said here, has a right,
If you are doing whistleblowing, you don't go retracting and apologizing.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that, well, I've told you the reason why we had to apologize, because the Privileges Committee at the time had assumed that those, the references were to them. I said no, but I said, well, very well. That's why they had a problem with me. Because I kept saying.
Bobby, like he was saying, there are situations he didn't want his client to get into.
No.
If they were going to escalate it to contempt, truth is not even a defense.
Yeah.
The fact that what you said is true is not a defense in contempt, right? So what's your assessment of what happened? And let's look at it with the backdrop of the conversation that has come up in the course of the week about whether or not the parliamentarians actually have been receiving, unapproved payments for this kind of work.
To start with that end, something I think is a bigger picture than just limiting it to the scenarios now. One, if indeed parliamentarians have been receiving payments to approve or disapprove some members of parliament, that will be the height of misfortune. Let me put it that way.
Joe Wise confirms that they actually do.
Yes.
And his explanation is that this is like facilitation.
Yes.
Because the allowances take too long to come. So Chief of Staff, facilitates the work.
But the payment that is it made to all the members from both political device?
He says that is what happens.
Yes. So committee members, it means both political device. That's what I'm saying, that it is both political parties. Yes. If indeed the intention is to make sure, then what is the role of Parliament? Because if the executive nominates, and then there are people to be ministers, the role of Parliament is to make sure that they vet, to make sure these people are fit for purpose, they are competent. If they are now shedding that role because of financial inducement, then the whole intention of the framers of the Constitution for checks and balances is not being met. I do not think that there would be an instance where members of Parliament who are vetting certain persons would decide to approve people who do not otherwise qualify because of financial inducement. That is unimaginable that it can happen. In any event, in the last Parliament, there was a minister from the finance minister who, yes, you've even mentioned today, was vetted over 2 days. Let me use the appropriate, over 2 days. These payments that allegedly came, I'm sure may have even come within that period. But yet, it didn't stop the committee from doing the vetting over that period. And so it will be very weird, it will be very strange. My concern more is this, I don't think it is a new thing, but over the past few years, maybe 5-6 years, we've had people who have exercised or used the access that they have on social media to say things that either they do not have first-hand information of, or things that they know are not true. And then they malign state institutions, they malign public officers, and then when they are asked to prove, Senior, with all due respect, I do not agree that, for as example, if the statement that was made by your client, that NDC persons, I'm not quoting, but he made statement
that statement is a statement that was actually wrongly attributed to him.
Yes.
That was not his statement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That was a reported
statement.
Yes.
But what was the statement that he made? The statement that he admitted he made,
the first one,
suggested that there had been some form of payment of money that had gone on.
No. Just a correction.
Yes.
Correction.
Yes.
The statement was to the effect that, it's like, what about all the payments people are being asked to make to appointments committee? I said that was where the
is that also not subject to oral?
So who was directing that the payments must be made to some payments must be made to facilitate?
That's what I'm saying. That it's a suggestion that there has been either a demand for payment or an attempt to make payment.
Yeah, naturally, that he said yes. He has evidence.
That is what I'm saying.
But at the proper forum, like the contempt, you are given opportunity to call evidence.
Senior, if we all want to build Ghana the way we want, steps must be taken by persons who say they have this kind of evidence to take them to the appropriate authority.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we will sit now. I have read this statement. In my mind, I have a right to assume that indeed something may have gone on. And then Honorable Abib is sitting here. Maybe he may have demanded or he may have offered. Now, corruption is not, or the offense is not only when it is actually consummated. The attempt to do it is in itself an offense. And so if you have evidence that somebody has either attempted to demand or actually demanded or attempted to give or actually given monies in exchange for some form of favorable treatment at the vetting committee, it's a very serious offense, or it's a very serious allegation. If we are building the democracy that people like you have invested...
Okay, so let's read the statement.
Yes.
So all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay to the appointments committee just to get approved, are those ones not affected by oral?
Yes.
Strange Republic. So in this statement, their interpretation as they put before the committee was that so all the monies the ministerial appointees are being asked to pay. They haven't said appointments committee is demanding.
I'm not saying the appointment committee is demanding. I'm saying that if there is a third person in between them who is going around saying that give me money, I'll get you approved, and you have the name and evidence for that person, submit it to the appropriate state agency. We were in this country.
So they are saying that this kind of thing, if there are people who have this kind of thing, this statement, they are saying what it means is that they are asking, shouldn't the oral receive these kinds of statements and investigate?
And investigate.
Well?
That's the point.
As it stands now, I don't believe oral has a constitutional mandate. That is my position. I do not believe. But as it stands now, assuming that you have the only person who has put this out is your client.
Yes.
So I don't want to assume somebody else has that information.
What has he put out? Has he accused anybody of?
No, he is saying that there's. Can you put it back on the screen so we can read
says,
it? So all the monies that the ministerial, so all the monies that the ministerial appointees are being asked are being present continuous. It means there is somebody who is demanding the payment.
Yes.
Now, can you put out this statement if you do not know who is demanding the payment? Or if you've not been told who is demanding the payment.
And has he said is the appointment committee that...
No, I am not saying it is the appointment committee.
Yes, immediately...
No, I'm not making that point.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Immediately you said that...
No, but he mentioned the appointment committee.
No, pay to the appointment. So it is possible there's a third person.
Exactly.
And I'm saying this third person is dangerous to our democracy.
Now to the
that is what I'm saying.
No, Bobby, you are right. Yes. To the extent that you say that there's a potential third party.
Yes.
Then this matter must be investigated.
That is
now,
what I'm making.
So you don't take the person who wrote this first in to Parliament for...
No, Senior, we have gone beyond that.
The committee does not have investigative power.
We have gone beyond that.
The committee is not a court of law.
What I am saying...
our strategy was that we were pushing, put us to a proper forum. It was a proper...
Senior, will your client be ready in the name of this democracy that we all want to build, submit the name of this third party to the appropriate state institution? The reason I'm saying this is that last year or 2 years ago, there was an allegation that when the motion for censorship of the finance minister was laid before Parliament, a very senior businessman attempted to bribe parliamentarians to forgo that motion.
You know who made that allegation?
A member of Parliament.
Okay.
And they didn't do anything about it.
Something was done. The OSP asked Andy Appiah Kubi, actually went to Parliament to do the investigation. Yes. Andy Appiah Kubi was brought before the OSP, and he was asked, who help us do this? Yes. And the Appiah Kubi didn't cooperate.
That is how our democracy starts failing. Yes. That is the point I'm trying to make. Because if you have this information, and then you do not want to build this democracy, if it was an issue of galamsey, you would have killed, not like literally
Their
killed.
question is this.
Yes.
In this statement, you agree that he has not accused the committee?
No, I agree.
Okay,
yes, right. I'm not dealing with...
So why were we there?
Since you agree that he has not accused the committee of wrongdoing, why is the committee angry and seeking to punish him?
Something. That is why I said I agree with the submissions that Senior made as to the jurisdiction.
Yes.
All that I'm saying is that taking it beyond Parliament, we have used social media to throw in some of these things to weaken these kind of institutions without taking the next steps.
Mahama Yarga said that there was one situation that he became aware of, that certain people who are in an industry in which a sector minister was going for vetting said they want to help that person for the purpose of the vetting. And he asked them, has he asked you to help them?
But
and they said no, but you understand the language. So they wanted to do something. And you are being asked the question, since this issue has come up over and again, in fact, to a point where Parliament has to set up a committee to investigate, should it be taken in the manner that the committee took it?
I think that these are matters that affect the foundation of our democracy.
Exactly.
And it is not a matter that should be left for Parliament to determine. There should be proper investigations. If I was the chairman of the committee, because whether we like it or not, even though the allegations have not been made directly against the chairman or the members of the committee, every fair-minded Ghanaian would begin to think that it is possible that there may have been an attempt through a third party or directly to impugn the very process that people stay up. Yesterday, people were staying up from morning. I was in a board meeting. They said, let's hurry up and close because we want to go and watch somebody being vetted.
Yes.
People are interested in this because it is Ghana that we are talking about. And so we should take some of these allegations very serious.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying. So, Habib, that the person who made this allegation.
We are going to our guest on Zoom, but Habib, you were in this committee, and I could see how angry you were.
Yes.
And it turned out that all of you, your anger was triggered by the post.
Yes.
No, the report, not the post. That was a report that purported to come on the back of this post by a certain MPP project bureau, then replicated on Ghana Today, which he says that is not his comment, and you can't find that on his Facebook wall or any of his social media handles. So first, the question is, it appears you guys didn't do your due diligence before you added that and attributed that statement to him.
Samson, let me make this point very clear, that inviting him before the appointment committee was the right thing to do in the first instance. And we did that with the powers that we also have under the Constitution in Article 103, 6A and B, even though my senior here referred to Article 103, 6. But he didn't emphasize on the A and B, because Article 103, 6 says that a committee appointed under this article shall have powers, rights, privileges of the High Court or a justice of a High Court at a trial for A, enforcing the attendance of a witness, examining them on oath, affirming or otherwise, and B, compelling the production of document. So the reason why we called him to the committee was on the back of the fact that the allegation, if you bring it, if you could, bring out what he actually writes, then I can relate some of the words.
They'll put it up for you again.
Okay. Then on that, we said, okay, if you have said that the monies that have been given to us allegedly or otherwise.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
No, I'm saying so I wanted to see the post. I want to see the post. Then I can be able to relate with the words very well.
Okay. Then please put the post back for
so that I can relate. Even the second post he is denying.
It's not a post.
The report.
Okay.
He is denying. I think that there's nothing. Not much different from what he admitted.
It's very different. That one says that the NDC members on the appointment committee take bribes.
Relate the words. The committee is made up of which members and which members. It's not MPP members and NDC members. So if I say that the committee is taking money and then I elect to say that NDC members, they are members of the
committee. The committee is taking money. Has he said the committee is taking money?
That's why I want to relate with the words, but I think your producers haven't been able to. I want to quote it very well and relate it to what has been posted. You are a journalist, and you know when you say something, you also go to write a story out of it. You definitely write a story that is catchy, but he cannot run away from the ingredients of his post and the ingredients in the attributed report.
Okay.
Even though they have, and then you see something. Parliament and what
they put it back.
So if you look at where so all the monies, then ministerial appointees are being asked by who to pay to the appointment committee, of which the committee is made up of NDC and MPP. That is just the honest truth. Committee just to get approval are those ones not affected by ARA. And look at what he denied. He said NDC members on the appointment committee takes money. Do we have NDC members on that appointment committee or not? We have. Did he say money being given to the appointment committee or not. In his admission, they said yes. Ministerial nominee. The ministerial nominee is there. Before approval, the approval is there. I'm saying that when you are reporting,
in law, you cannot attribute.
No. I am saying,
even in defamation, you must quote the exact words.
Exactly.
Not
so what
phrase it and impugn it to the author.
Some say no. That when they media Joy FM, sometimes when they report some issues, you see the heading. It will be different. When you go into the substance, they might bring out the autumn. Because this is just...
But if you are quoting somebody to be accurate...
Good. But this here, they did not put any quotation.
So is there wrong?
They were reporting. So if you read the actual one, they might be able to quote him verbatim in the story itself.
But related this one.
So you see, the point is that when we saw the first one and the second one, that's what we said that fundamental right, let's hear him. He came and he said no. He said the other one, he is the one who has uttered it. Then he was ready to apologize. Our own issue is that we didn't want to just say that, okay, we have seen this post. Now that he has come to deny it, and just said, okay, we have seen this post and that, and for that matter, we are referring it to the privileges committee. That's not what we wanted.
Because if you did that, it would not amount to anything, because that's not his comment.
So that is why we wanted to hear him. But now that we have the right one, he said, I need to move on. And then see, there's no wise thing he said. I want to clarify it in context, because he's very respectful. What he said is that maybe if President Mahama is to set up 60 ministers, as he has said, then we vet all the ministers, vet all the deputy ministers, and they are approved, the work is done. Then the chief of staff, he is a former chief of staff, then the chief of staff will say that, oh, committee, the way you have been able to do, facilitate my work being done, take it. He didn't say that. That's not what Joy Wise said, that, okay, in the process of the vetting, maybe when you vet Mr. 1 and finish and say, oh, you have done well, take, before you go to Mr. 2. No. His statement is to the effect that when everything is said and done, like President Mahama is going to do system ministers, when the system ministers is done, and they think it's not even demand.
But he talks about the fact that the committee members say, the committee members in the process say they are expecting something is not coming, they are expecting the thing is not coming.
Where is that money? Okay. But Samson, let me make about the inappropriate payments. I've said that, look, any payment that comes to you, which is not your allowance, part of your regular pay or whatnot, is inappropriate. In the parliament in the UK, ministers, members of parliament and whatnot have had to be sanctioned or whatnot. If we are not sanctioning our MPs, that's a different matter. You see,
on what basis?
No. Because
on what basis? Because we haven't taken
any
the chief of staff get that money from?
It was the first deputy speaker who said so. And he has been chairman of this committee before. But I'm just relating to his words to the effect that he's not saying in the process. But when they conclude and you come and say that, oh, thank you.
See, is this your first time on the appointment committee?
No.
Okay, then I'll ask for that question.
Okay, thank you. Now let's.
So the appointment committee doesn't take money.
Okay. So I'm being prompted to take a quick break. We come back, we hear from the ladies, and then we deal briefly about the. Looks like we are in a season where people connected to the NDC, or actually NDC people, standing trial, and NDC doesn't believe that they are being tried fairly or that they are being persecuted, is handing them, free acquittals, just throwing in and say, you are acquitted and you are leaving. How is that also panning out? There are people who are very angry about that. We'll be right back.
Spending time to really erase all doubts regarding your integrity is very important. I had wind of what he said, and then the chairman reached out. I said, call him, let him come, and if he has anything and he can substantiate it, we need to deal with it openly and then transparently. So I think that inviting him to come and substantiate his claims is in the right direction. I'm unaware of any such thing. And so that's why I think he should come. Maybe he has something, because you see, in this country, all sort of things happen. I actually met somebody
who operates in a sector, and the person said, "Oh, our minister is our sector minister is being considered this week, so we want to go and help him." And I said, "Has your sector minister asked you to come and help him?" "So no, we just want to come together and help him." I said,
"Real story."
Yeah, real story. I said, "No, none of them has a problem. All of them, so far as we are concerned, if the president has nominated them, unless somebody really has a petition that is against your sector minister nominee, he should be fine." I'm telling you, I told the person, I don't think there's a need for you and people in your sector to go mobilizing money that you are going to help your minister, because we won't even accept it. So that is out there. You get the situation.
Right.
A certain perception that, and so maybe somebody
private sector.
Yeah, somebody spoke and he heard or something. But if he has anything about, some money is being handed over to appointments committee members, he should just come and then we'll look into it. And I encourage it, not just this instance.
I joined the appointments committee. Most of the time, at the close of our work, the chief of staff will bring money to the members of the committee. It's like facilitating our work. I wonder how anybody could link that to bribery.
It's not bribery? It's not influence peddling?
After the work, how can it be influence peddling? It does not give advantage to anybody or gives disadvantage to anybody. So
have some soft issues.
Let's move on.
Doc,
honorable nominee,
with me. If
honorable nominee,
politics with me, then don't
when the question
be irritated when we start the politics. I am here.
Honorable nominee,
then you want to do party.
The question asked, you answered. That is for some time. It's not a direct post where you will be able to see the document and admit that this is my post. So therefore, you have a difficulty accepting whether this is your post or not. And the questioner is saying that if that is your answer, he wants to abandon any further question on that and proceed on another angle. So let's take it in good faith and allow him to proceed on another angle, but not what you are not able to identify whether it is your post or not your post.
And let me remind you on a lighter note that the fact that I'm grilling you does not mean that when you get there and you are supposed to give protocol allocation, you deny me. I'm telling you, you cannot, because yes, there is, and committee members benefited. Yes, there is something like that. When I was a defense committee member, your ranking, your members benefited. I am saying it on authority. They did. And they even had more than with the MPP members. They did. I'm not. That's a fact. Kennedy Japan was the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee. They benefited. So I'm telling you that when you are giving, don't think that because I grilled you, you will not allocate.
Honorable ranking member.
I did.
Honorable ranking member, I have also been in this house for some time. I was a member of parliament and at a point became the ranking member for Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, a very important committee of parliament. But I know nothing called protocol. What really happened is that our constituents will come with the form. Then as a member of parliament, you have to be pleading with the sector ministers whether or not they can help. So that is what I know. But I have not seen a situation where they say that a member, you have this number of people, go to your constituency and bring them to come and join military. And I'll keep on making this particular point to the Ghanaians. So I beg, please, if some people were treated that way, then there is an element of discrimination. Because some of us didn't know what is even protocol. We go to beg. You plead like you are becoming a defense minister. it is time for recruitment into the military. You will see members of parliament coming to your office to come and plead and intervene on behalf of their constituents. But you won't tell them that, oh, I have 10 members, go and bring them automatically to come and join the military. That is not it. So let me use the opportunity to clear the doubts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
All right. So, Rodo Sayafo, Mary Awalana, let's come to you now. From Mahama Yarga, talking about how some group wanted to help their sector ministers vetting to facilitation, and then now to, what shall we call it, protocol or intervene and plead. Which one is which? Yes, Rhoda.
I think some of the revelations, if I should put it that way, or the confirmation by way of the information that is coming from our members of parliament and our former deputy speaker really speak to a certain culture that is creeping into our society, which is the monetization of services and processes, right? That now we have created this expectation that any service provided or rendered, the money has to exchange hands. So somebody goes to a public office, goes to an agency of government for a service, and there's an expectation on the part of the person rendering the service that at the end of the day, when your needs are met, you should put something as by way of thank you or whatever. And for Parliament, for some of these practices to be coming from Parliament is really troubling, and I find the information from the former Deputy Speaker to be worrying that Parliament is doing its work, parliamentarians are remunerated, there are provisions for their sittings and all of that, but beyond that, the Chief of Staff has to now come in again after everything to provide money. What is even more worrying is the justification that this is facilitation, right? After the work has been done, we are paying money to facilitate. So really this justification for me is troubling, because otherwise all the police service, every other institution or agency of government can have justification for taking monies. But is this the trend? Is this the path that we want to tread as a country? I don't think this is where we want to go, right? And I mean, it's really troubling, and I hope that Parliament will be able to come out with a policy. Some institutions, even in the private sector, are being proactive by putting out policies, statements that are saying we don't accept the payment of any monies. I think it's important for Parliament to adopt such a practice, communicate clearly to the public, to nominees, to whoever, that in your business with Parliament, you are not expected to pay any monies whatsoever to anybody, and that you come and you conduct your business. The costs and all of that associated with parliamentarians and committees doing their work, that is on the state. I think it will be, if they are really concerned about their reputation and some of these statements that are coming out from the public and people's expectations or understanding of the role of Parliament and what they should be doing as in approaching them to even offer payment, I think it's clear that Parliament puts such communication or some kind of policy out there to clarify all of these, because this is clearly worrying. And the other issue about protocol allocation, again, it goes back to the transactional nature of business in many places, that because we are doing this at the end of the day, we expect that we'll be provided with some opportunities to do this. I think there's nothing wrong if members of Parliament want to direct their constituents to appropriate places, agencies, and authorities in terms of where they can get more information about the procedures for applying into certain institutions and arms of government. That is fine. But for that kind of information and expectation about protocol allocation and the basis for that, I think I'm not sure about where we are heading with that.
Rhoda, what is our problem? When the matter comes up and they deny it, we say, hell no. Now, when there are people who come up and frankly tell us what exactly it is that happened, we still are blaming them. What do we want? We say money changes hands. for vetting. Then someone comes up and says it is only facilitation. We say there are, political party people who are being recruited here and there. They come up and deny it. Then somebody, steps up and says, it happens. It's something that we do. And we say he too, we should crucify him. What do we want?
Yes. So that information, to the effect that it happens, it only confirms what probably already exists in the public domain that has been going on. That, however, does not make it right. Okay, we all want a system that works for every Ghanaian, right? If I want to apply to the Ghana Police Service, I want to be sure that as a citizen, I'm competing for that slot, and that is on the basis of the qualifications provided, not that somebody has a better access to their MP and their MP has more slots and all of that. If we want to have a society that is fair, equitable, this is the direction we should be looking at, and we should be moving away. And of course, they are talking about security agencies. We know that it goes deeper than that, to educational institutions, to all manner of places. And again, this is an area, if we are really keen on resetting our institutions, of course, there's provision now. We are going to have constitutional review. I'm sure these are areas that we want to avert our minds to and make sure that we are addressing these problems, because whereas our members of parliament may think that they may be solving a particular problem, they really may be creating other problems that will really not be helpful for all of us. Okay, let me go to Mary now, and let me tone down. And Mary, you know why I'm toning down? Somebody is very angry that the last question I asked Rhoda, I was passionate about it, as if to say that it is right for people to disclose something which is wrong. What do you say?
I believe your question was a fair one, but it is the right thing to do. That is why we have a legal regime that promotes the disclosure of wrongdoing in whatever shape or form. Whistleblower legislation was passed to encourage citizens to do the same. And so I believe that our culture generally as a people has not promoted that. And again, as a people, we have tended, as Rhoda has indicated, we have tended to give a certain level of respect to people we put in places of power, forgetting that it is we, the citizens, or we, the people, as the Constitution says it, who have assigned these roles and mandate to these people to perform on our behalf. And so we've made them mini gods in a way. And so when they do things wrong, we are not able to call them to accountability, unfortunately, because what evidence do we need anymore? And yet it comes back to the issue of accountability that I've been speaking of. If we are equal before the law as citizens, then a member of parliament who clearly says that he is being facilitated to do his work, the law says that a bribe is a bribe. And remember that the bribe doesn't have to even occur. The intention alone is a crime. So if we say that, and we say bribery or corruption is the abuse of entrusted power, why are you taking the money after the fact to ensure that your hands are lubricated, or is grease money to facilitate and hasten the process? Nobody can tell me any other thing, and I would agree to. But it is time that we begin to look at the various protocols we put in place to ensure that Parliament itself is cleansing itself. And I remember at one of their meetings where I participated in, when they were finalizing the standing orders, one of the institutions or the creatures they wanted to put in place was to have a better anti-corruption system within Parliament to ensure that there are
did I lose Mary? Okay, yes, Mariada's line. Good.
To ensure that, yes.
Just go on.
Great. So we are supposed to have a process where we have somebody who is a whip sort of administratively within Parliament to cater for some of these things. And he had a duty to ensure that ethics and conduct is very highly attended to. I am asking now that their standing orders are in use, is that office set up? And if it is set up, what is the person doing to some of these things? Because this type of comments that are coming from honorable members is tending to make them look very dishonorable.
But
if the honorable Afenyo says, do not deprive me of my protocol, and then in the chairman's response in trying to ameliorate the implications of that impunity, also goes on to say that they take the applications of their constituents to then facilitate the process. I do not see any difference with that. It means that we as a people would begin to, in ourselves, take up this whistleblower legislation. And something, you know, I have been on platforms with you where people have said these things very frankly. But when it comes to them disclosing, it becomes a problem because Parliament has made themselves a god on their own, intimidating people and making people afraid. Vamawa made a statement and see the way they came at him. And these are some of the things that make people recoil in their shells. When they have the truth, they are not able to come out to say them because of the implications that will come to them.
Some will say, some will say that you need to also address the problem of the administrative bottlenecks. They are doing a job for which they have to be paid. They have to be paid allowances, and often the allowance is delayed until so long before it comes. So Joe Wise says that. Why is it wrong that the chief of staff will seek to facilitate this process? It doesn't matter that the allowance comes late, and he says sometimes it comes and then they take it. They take it in addition to the facilitation they took. I've had people ask me that question, that which civil service don't they have such delays? Why should there be this treatment of a facilitation for MPs? So the problem of the bottlenecks in the civil service also have to be dealt with. If it's an allowance they are entitled to, maybe before they say it, you give it to them so they don't have to ask for some facilitation, right?
President, admittedly, that is the right thing to do, but we know what is happening to our bureaucracy and what happens in the civil service when it comes to procurement, the acquisition of memos, approvals, and others. And you know the allocational issues. I believe Parliament is actually in the right place because they get their money the way they want them. However, the question we must ask ourselves is, in the budget of the office of the president, do they make allocations for Parliament, which is an arm of government, which also has its budget? Does that go to say that they also make allocations to the judiciary to also facilitate? I'm just conjecturing in this case. It is wrong that the office of the president tries to interfere in the works of Parliament. And this must be put out there that we all talk about. It is wrong. Today, tomorrow it will be wrong, and forever will be wrong that the executive is sending monies to Parliament to facilitate processes. Some say you have also been in a lot of platforms where you have had, even with legislations, to push. It's a problem. And so we must all agree that there are things that are happening within that space that must be stopped. Otherwise, we would just be recycling the wrong and continuing to do the wrong things. And if those who are supposed to be making the laws for us begin to justify some of these things, then we are in trouble.
Okay,
and
thank you.
I believe that our fight against corruption is incumbent on the executive, incumbent on the legislature, and the judiciary being as effective and efficient as possible.
All right, thank you very much. And some of them tell us that they will go to, there are certain things that they will go to their graves with. They wouldn't talk about them. Professor Kweku Azar says that the discontinuation of prosecution raises important questions about governance, the rule of law, and the fight against corruption. Beyond politics, we must examine the legal and procedural realities that shaped these cases. Each case has been in court for at least 7 years. If prosecutions fail despite claims of judicial favorability, we must ask, were they rushed? Was the evidence weak? Were the charges politically motivated? justice is not served by endless trials without conviction. Instead of debating the discontinuation, we should ask, how do we ensure prosecutions are based on solid legal grounds? What lessons can improve future prosecutions? How do we prevent justice from being weaponized for political battles? The focus must be on systemic reforms, ensuring stronger prosecutions, better case management, and a legal system that delivers fair, timely, and credible outcomes.